This is a Dynamics 365 podcast focusing on the ingredients of a successful Dynamics 365 practice. Your host is Business Solution MVP Mark Smith, otherwise known as NZ365 Guy. Over the coming weeks, I'll be interviewing seasoned professionals from various parts of the world, talking about what it takes to be successful in a Dynamics 365 practice. Thanks to Kingsway Soft and Alexa CRM for sponsoring the CRM Audio Dynamics 365 Practice podcast. WordPress powers more than 25% of all the websites on the internet and is the number one choice for bloggers, websites, and portals. Because it is open source, simple to use, reliable, and extensible, Dynamics 365 has become the de facto standard in sales, marketing, customer service, and industry solutions. Now WordPress and Dynamics can work together thanks to the Dynamics CRM WordPress plugin built with love by Alexa CRM systems. Capture forms, engage your users and customers, all without writing any code. Control your site in WordPress while keeping your data in Dynamics 365. To build the plugin, Alexa CRM has created an open source Dynamics 365 PHP toolkit, unlocking the world of Dynamics for PHP developers. Download your 30-day trial from alexacrm.com/plugin and instantly create a portal by connecting Dynamics 365 and your WordPress site. Kingsway Soft is a leading integration solution provider offering software solutions that make data integration affordable and painlessly easy. Thousands of enterprise clients from over 70 countries and regions rely on Kingsway Soft to integrate data with various business systems in order to drive their business efficiency and fully leverage their information assets. Kingsway Soft is a leading provider of Microsoft Dynamics integration software, including Dynamics 365, CRM, AX, NAV, GP, SL, as well as many other applications such as Marketo, Dropbox, QuickBooks, and Salesforce. Whether you need one solution or several, Kingsway Soft works easily within the SSIS platform to make your integration processes as quick and easy as possible. Many of their clients have seen 3 to 10 times greater data integration performance after switching to the SSIS integration platform. Welcome everybody, I'm here with Guus Krabbenborg from Amsterdam, and today we're going to discuss his experience and background in working with Dynamics partners all over the world and how he coaches them and what's worked well for them. So Guus, why don't you tell us a bit about your history with Dynamics and how you've come to this point?
Yeah, thanks Mark. Thanks for inviting me. So I've been active in the business application arena for all my working life, which today I think is north from 30 years. But, you know, as for many of us, as older you get, the real number starts to get a little bit frightening. I started working for bigger companies like Philips and Digital Equipment, did a buyout with some guys, and then came into the Dynamics world when I started working as commercial director for Navision in the Netherlands in the late 90s. When I left, I started with training and coaching for partners. 2007, we started a company called Partner Masterclass, which was a PDC, a Partner Development Center. Basically, that meant that we were training partners on business skills and not on technique and functionality. And today, I'm one of the co-founders and co-owners of a company called QBS Group. We are initially called MasterVAR, today an SMB distributor. And we manage more than 400 partners in 17 countries. And our goal is to help these people to, make a better business and get more happy customers.
Yeah, excellent. So I take it you've worked with a lot of Dynamics practices over this period of time. What have you found the core roles that are needed for a successful Dynamics practice?
Well, I think, Mark, that these core roles have been changing over time, and I think they're still changing. So if you take a traditional Dynamics partner, it could be CRM, could be ERP, then for long years it was a matter of having the right technical people and having the right skill sets on that domain, and then make billable hours and have billable people. Yeah. Then you already had a few of the success criteria. I think over the last, 5 years, 8 years, depends a bit per country and per culture and per vertical market, but we've all seen people buying in a different way. We've all seen that marketing became more important, although still there's partners that sort of deny that trend.
Yes.
So the shift from sales to marketing had an impact on partners, of course, had an impact on their prospects as well. So we see that marketing has become much more important, and I think it will become even more important in the near future. You might say that, and maybe more specific, product marketing is getting more important. So, and while these things are changing, you could also say that the ability to change is another sort of competency that successful partners need to have.
You talked about marketing of the product. What do you exactly mean? Do you mean marketing one of the Dynamics CRM or ERP solutions, or do you mean more marketing as a practice, the industry specialization?
No, so when I say marketing, I mean marketing as a function for the partner.
Yeah.
So how do you position your solutions? Which choices do you make for specific markets, specialization, horizontal or vertical? How do you show the benefits of your solution? How do you avoid keep talking about functional features like most of our audience today probably will love and like? But most prospects are not interested in that. They want to know what it means and what the benefits are and how they can improve their business with it. So that's the part of marketing I'm talking about.
So in your experience, what partners do marketing? So not so much what partner, but what have you seen effectively done by partners that execute well in the marketing side of things?
Well, let's say that for long years. Well, let me start here, Mark. I think the average size of a Dynamics partner worldwide is still somewhere between 20 and 25 people. Yeah. And we both know names of companies that are much bigger, but we all know there's also smaller ones. So if you think about a 25 people Dynamics shop, the question is, how are these 25 people divided over the different roles? Yeah. I would say traditionally, in a services-oriented traditional CRM or ERP practice, a lot of the 25 would be consultants and developers. And there will be salespeople, there will be an owner, there will be admin people, and then that's about it. So if you then look more deeply to marketing, then in companies of that size, marketing is a combination job, and the other side of the combination job is often sales. Yeah. Now, we all know that it makes sense to combine marketing and sales, makes more sense than combining marketing and development, right? Everybody understands that.
Yes.
The sorry part of it is that marketing and sales have two completely different paces. So if you're the guy responsible for marketing and sales in your company and it's Monday morning like it is now, what do you do on Monday morning? Well, you do sales because you have to do these phone calls and you have to finalize your proposal and you get to sign the deal. And that's happening on Tuesday and on Wednesday and on Thursday. So at the end of the week, let's say 4:45, you sort of realize, shit, I didn't do anything about marketing. And then you still have 15 minutes left. Yeah. So typically that's what we call Friday afternoon marketing. And And, because of size, a lot of partners do have Friday afternoon marketing. And because of they spend so little, let's say, time and energy and focus on it, look at their websites, right? They're not really sort of the size that you say, I need to go back to see what's new because not much happening there.
Yeah. What's the solution for that? I've seen a lot of businesses in the space that they get a project on, all their staff get billed out on that project, and they might have it for 3 to 6 months, and they're not worrying about sales, and all of a sudden the project starts to come to an end, and there's a panic, oh my gosh, we've got to get another customer on board, and there's kind of potential for a lull, and that causes stress for everybody in the business. How do you see businesses working around that and stopping going through that, fully billable to virtually no billable to try and get the next job on board?
So my colleague Anne, she's our marketing manager in QBS Group, she recently wrote a nice blog and the title was Marketing as a Panic Button. And that describes exactly what you just said, right? So, we do a project, everybody's business with the project, and we keep on invoicing and everything's fine until the project's over, and then there's nothing left.
Yeah.
So if you look at the pattern of revenue of these partners, it looks like a sewing machine, right? It goes up and then it goes down, and then hopefully it can go up again. I'm not exactly familiar with the CRM statistics, but from the NAV statistics worldwide, I can tell you that the average number of new business deals over the last 12 months for an average NAV partner was 2.3.
Wow. Yeah.
If you realize that there's more than 120,000 NAV customers out there, 120,000, and they're all sold by partners, then you start understanding that, a lot of these partners were successful in the past selling 10, 15, 20 new deals a year. But over time, the number of new deals slowed down, and it has several reasons. One of them might be, poor marketing, which leads to a small number of leads. But it also is you have a growing customer base that keeps asking for attention and takeaway capacity. And if you think about going from 20 to 15 to 10, and today is 2.3, my youngest son would predict that if you don't do anything, the 2.3 will be 1.8, will be 0.7, and then it's done. So, as a reaction on that, I think, Microsoft came up with this project Road to Repeatability. They changed in Cloud SureStep or Cloud SureStep for Dynamics 365, which was a project that started in the ERP side, so with NAV and GP partners, really helping these partners to build a product rather than a project business where you have standardized, verticalized, packaged solutions where you put more focus on marketing. And one of the ideas is, to still have billable people, but then billable based on many more new projects as a way to grow your business.
Yeah. So at the recent Microsoft conference, I know there was more repeat about that. Do you see Microsoft really focusing with their partners around verticalization and that repeatability in special skill set type areas?
Yeah, so I've been visiting the worldwide partner conferences, or Inspire as it was called this year, since 2004, and I've noticed, and I've been writing business reports all these years. So we have this call now, and I'm in the middle of all kind of papers and draft versions and documents because the report should be ready next Friday. That's a professional report on all the happenings at Inspire, especially for Dynamics partners, and then specifically on, not just what's happening, but more what does it mean and what should partners do and not do based on that.
Yeah.
So my observation is that ever since 2004, Microsoft talked about specialization and verticalization, and this had partial success. So for my report, I had an interview with a guy called Jeff Edwards. He is responsible for Microsoft's partner strategies in SMB markets, and he's in the job for 10 years. So he has a nice view on the changes. And I discussed this verticalization stuff with him because what was surprisingly for me was this year was verticalization and specialization was a theme in the keynotes. And that did not happen for the last 13 years. So we talked a bit about specialization, and the conclusion that we had together was that partners in Europe, Europe, are much more verticalized than the ones in the US. Partners in Europe, in the north of Europe, are much more specialized or verticalized than the ones in the south. And in general, partners in ERP are more specialized than the one in CRM. Yeah. So we see that's a big differences here. My gut feeling tells me that most of the partners today compete with similar partners. So if I'm in Australia and I want to sell CRM, I know who the other CRM guys are. So it's a group, it's a limited group. But if you think about moving to Dynamics 365, then the competition with Dynamics 365 will be 3, 4, 5-fold. Because you're not just competing with your old colleague CRM guys, you also compete with people that offer the ERP part, both NAV, GP, and AX. We know it's not all the same product, but at least they compete for the brand name Dynamics 365 and a high ranking in Google. So having said that, it means that, with more competition, it's even more important than in the past to specialize yourself and deliver added value, if you don't do that, you might just find yourself in a business where discount is everything, and that's not the best basis to build a healthy business.
Yeah, so true, so true. So it's interesting you brought up about the competition then that's potential now between ERP and CRM partners that were traditionally quite different. Do you see a model developing, and have you come across partners that are already doing this, that are really starting to partner with other partners? So, for example, someone's very strong in ERP is going to partner with someone very strong in CRM space and have a relationship that's more than just, if you like, the next deal.
So I see there's two options, basically, Mark. One is, let's say, in the domain of mergers and acquisitions. Again, Jeff Edwards, the guy with the overview of the worldwide channel, he confirmed that the number of M&E activities is huge at this moment. And he says the biggest sector is AX partners acquiring CRM practices.
Wow.
That's basically the biggest one. And the reason for that, he says, it's a pretty easy return on investment, because if you have a customer base with a lot of AX partners using the CRM module from AX, you know, it's a relatively easy way to upsell Dynamics CRM once you have this practice. Yeah. So I would say acquisitions, merger and acquisition is one. And my expectation, confirmed with his, is that we can expect a lot of M&E activities going forward in the next months and years, just because of the fact that you can't say, I just deliver single category ERP or CRM. Because you need in Dynamics 365, you need both, as we know. So the second option could be cooperation. My observation in all those years in the channel is that the average Dynamics partner is not really great in cooperation, to put it mildly. I've seen partners that only try to cooperate if they're really into big problems, but always with a defensive reason and not so much with an offensive one. And of course, we know, there's always a few people that do it differently, but the majority, I think, was averse of cooperation. But if you think about all the technologies that now are in front of the Dynamics channel, thinking about Dynamics 365, think about, Power Apps and Power BI and IoT and, what have you. It's so much that, again, if you're the average 25 people shop, you simply cannot have all the competencies on board. Either you try to win deals, single category, just selling, let's say, sales, marketing, service, or just selling ERP or financials or finance, how we call it. But then you only have a part of the total puzzle, and most prospects will go look for people that can offer complete Dynamics 365, and on top of that, the new technologies. So the discussion that I had with Jeff was about, what's the ideal size of a Dynamics partner? It may be good to elaborate a bit on that as well. I know that, with the PDCs, I think like 8, 9 years ago, we calculated what ideally was the ideal size of a Dynamics partner in the projects world. And the answer was around 80 people. Because 80 allowed a partner to have sufficient marketing people, not just one, but a team, and to have somebody for quality and have somebody for methodology and so on and so further. Now, so we had the discussion now, what's happening with the size? I think I surprised Jeff a bit with the question. So he said that's interesting to pay some attention to that question. But his first ideas, like mine, are that if you move from a project business to a product business, again, shrink wrapped, verticalized, standardized, and so on, you need less developers because you build something once and you sell it many times. You don't need so many consultants because, you can make videos and prepare stuff and, you're on a well-known territory. But what you do need is scale in marketing. So marketing and product is easier to scale than consultancy, sales, and developers.
Yes.
On the other hand, you move from a single category to the complete stack, and that means that you need to have more skills yourself or in cooperation. So I think it's an interesting arena, Mark, to see what's happening in the next months and next months and quarters, and how partners are going to react on this.
Yeah, it's interesting because from my experience in the Australian market, for a partner to make a transition to, as you say, become verticalized or productized is very hard, as in because there's always that new project work coming in. They seem juicy. It seems familiar, if you like. And I haven't really seen any Dynamics partner be able to do the transition effectively. I've heard of a few in America, but to do that effective transition of being a project-based company and moving to a product.
So I've worked with a lot of partners where this was on the table, and I've seen examples where partners tried to do both, so projects and products from the same company with the same people, and it showed it was not effective. And what I've learned over time is that if you want to think about moving to products, you need a different sales approach to start with, right? You need different sales skills, and probably you need salespeople that can pronounce the most difficult word for any salesperson in the world.
Yep,
it's a short word. Maybe you know which word it is.
No, what's the word?
The word is no. So you need people that master the word no. Well, in projects, as we know, as flexible as the software is, you have always say yes, it is possible. Because yes, it's in the standard Dynamics. Yes, it's in my add-on, or yes, I can customize it for you. You think about a product, you need to say, this is in and the rest is not in, and maybe it's in the next version. So you need to be able to master the word no. That's the first thing, right? Secondly, you need to have consultants that implement what is available. And most of the consultants today want to implement what's not available. We can build it for you.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
And then third one, I think important is that the cash flow and the money flow in products that are often based on rent models, your business model doesn't allow you to pay a lot up front and doesn't allow you to have a high customer acquisition cost. So you need to have a cheaper, faster, simpler acquisition process. And that means marketing should do more of the business. Marketing should do the heavy lifting. And you need to have salespeople that probably don't drive around the country in a big car, but be effective over the phone. Yeah. So all in all, if you want to move from a project business to a product business, you probably need to set up a second arm, a second activity. Yeah. Maybe with the same logo or a different one, maybe in the same building, maybe not. Maybe in the same market, maybe not. That's all to be discussed. But you probably need a different DNA to be successful in products. And I have examples, a growing number of examples of partners that do that and that are successful.
So what's the timeline on a typical path of those partners that you've experienced, or what's the average of making that transition or into becoming more product focused?
So I think the biggest hurdle, the biggest challenge, you might say, is the process in the head of the owner.
Yes.
That takes most time, and I've seen some examples of people who are very fast, really very fast. Matter of in a week after an intensive workshop or training, they saw the light, to say it that way. And I see partners after years they're still juggling and don't know what to do. Yeah, I think in general, with all the changes at Microsoft and with all the changes in products and with all the changes now in the marketing model, Microsoft announced this one commercial partner approach in last month in Washington. Again, that's a new change. I see a big part of the channel doing nothing, and some even act a bit paralyzed and look into the lights of the train that is coming fast. Yeah. And I think that's not good. Partners should move and should do things, because not doing anything is not really the right strategy, as we all know.
Yeah. So interesting. We've talked about, focusing in on the product and owning repeatable IP, if you like. What about now, though, that, you mentioned it before, we have Dynamics CRM, we have Dynamics, from an ERP perspective, we've got Power Apps, Flow, Power BI, more and more, any implementation is going to involve Azure these days. And then there's the whole integration with Office 365. So it's almost like the partner's skills are needing to go very broad while we're also saying, hey, you need to stay very focused. How do you see partners handling that?
Well, if you say broad and focused, I think that we are. The move that I see is that most partners are great in product, right? And not just the product people like the consultants and developers, but the sales and marketing people and probably the owners are into the product as well.
Yeah.
Interesting observation, Mark, is that from all the business owners from Dynamics partners worldwide, only 2% have a marketing background.
Wow.
And to me, that explains why in many partner organizations, this discussion around marketing budget is such a tough one. Because there's still a large amount of partners that think that marketing is a cost. Where I would say marketing is an investment because that's the oxygen that keeps your business running. So a big chunk of the partner background is sales or product. Yeah. And there's a lot of people that run a business, but the business owners are product-driven people. Well, that's not good or bad. It's just an observation. My belief is that we're moving into an era very fast where everything that you want to know from a product is available online.
Yeah.
If you think about the vast amount of information that Microsoft spreads out about Dynamics 365, the YouTube videos, the documents, the ebooks, the checklists, everything you can think about is online. And I had a discussion on that with Marko Perisic. He is the Microsoft guy responsible for Dynamics 365 in the SMB market. And we talked a bit about his blogs on LinkedIn, where he openly discussed all kind of functions and feature stuff or positioning stuff. And I said to him, Microsoft used to be an NDA company. You need to sign for everything, and it was all, a bit spooky.
Yep.
So I said, what's the change? And he said, that's from the old days where we had a new version every 2 years. We're moving to an era where we have new versions every month, every week, every day, if you like. So, we simply cannot afford this NDA stuff anymore. And the positives of discussing things in all openness are better than, the damage that we could have that competitors can read it.
Yeah, yeah.
So, so the products are available. That's my point. And, I think that a lot of partners know a lot from products, but most partners don't know enough from their customers.
Yeah.
So if you say focus, I would say to partners, if you have the choice, I would say focus less on the products. Of course, you have your product people, but think about your sales and marketing people. I would love to see them to know everything from pet food industry, to know everything from lady hairdressers, to know everything from, hospitals or whatever, and read more about that and become part of that ecosystem. Drink what they drink, eat what they eat, read what they read. So I would say that partners should focus much more on that. And then I believe that it's inevitable that partners start cooperating more than they did before. Now, we are involved in a company called Dynasource. I'm not sure if you heard of that.
No.
So Dynasource is sort of a partner-to-partner platform. So you can say on Dynasource, the skills or the capacity you're looking for. So I'm looking for a Power Apps person responsible or experience with X years of experience in the Melbourne region. For a project that will start in 3 weeks from now, and I need a person for 2 months, 2 days a week, something like that.
Yep.
Well, in today's analog world, it's very, very hard to find somebody like that. It costs you a lot of time and money to find. And with Dynasource, you can find such a person easily. And the other way around, if you have people sitting on the bench because there's a delay in a project or whatever, you could say, I got somebody available, so it helps you to be more billable. Now, I strongly believe, since we're all moving from single category, be it CRM, be it ERP, to more and more of the Microsoft stack, which is, Dynamics 365, which could be Microsoft 365, which was announced in Washington, which could be all the new technologies that you cannot afford to have with your 25 people company. Cooperation is the one thing. So I would say, you can find your expertise and technical skills with tools like dinosaurs. But the way you set yourself apart from competition is to know more from your customer's market and your customer's business.
Yeah, so true, so true. I'll make sure that in the show notes that we put the links to these various articles and people that you've mentioned, just so the listeners can see that. Listen, I want to change gears slightly now. What have you found works effectively from a partner engagement perspective with Microsoft? In other words, in your experience with working with partners, what do partners do that work really well in their engagement with Microsoft that generates positive outcomes for both companies?
Yeah, that's a good question, Mark. I would say that attitude is an important point there. Attitude as in, but there's always tension between Microsoft and partners, right? Microsoft wants you to generate more business, and they say, how's your pipeline and how are the deals doing? And the partners always say, where are the leads? Something like that, or where's the marketing budget, right?
Yep.
It's often short-term focused. And the tension is not always positive. I would say, just a small, let's say, anecdote from my time working for Navision Software as commercial director in the Netherlands. In my first week, I came across the fact that we lost our office manager and we were searching for a new person. And in the period we were in between the two office managers, somebody said, Guus, could you keep an eye on info@navision.nl?
Right.
So I said, that's good. And I found in my inbox leads from companies interested in Navision. But I was, I was green, I was new, I didn't know. I know we had partners, but not, which were the good or the bad ones or whatever. But I had a job in my first days to start spreading out leads, which was far from easy. And of course, all you would like to do is put the lead on the place where the chance for winning is the best.
Exactly.
So with all my limited knowledge, I tried to do that. And then, in my second week on Monday morning, I think 11 o'clock, I got a phone call from a guy. He says, hi Guus, this is Jan. Well, you need to know that in Holland, 50% of all the guys called Jan, so it could be anybody. And he said, I remember I got this lead from you last week. I'm just driving away, visited the customer. I'm on the short list for the last two, and I'll do the demo next week. I'll keep you updated. Bye. And he hung up. And I was like, whoa. So what happened? Somebody called me. I didn't ask for it. He didn't complain. 9 out of 10 phone calls you get if you work for Microsoft from Navision are complaints. And there's enough to complain about. So it was positive. It was no complaint. It was, very relevant for me. And I was very surprised. And the interesting thing, and I tell this story a lot in my presentations and trainings, the week after I got a new bunch of leads, and I saw my hand moved automatically towards this guy Jan to distribute them. So the moral here is, people working at Microsoft are human beings just like you and me.
Exactly.
And they have, positives and negatives, and they like to be treated in a nice way. So I believe a positive attitude and openness and, transparency, and, you can be critical. I think the Dutch are worldwide famous for being blunt and critical. But, if you do that in a positive way, constructive way, I've learned that could be one of the, aspects that could bring success on that side.
Yeah.
I have to say now that the reorganization was announced just before Inspire, right? Where Microsoft says we're going to cut 3,000 jobs, most of them in the field, most of them in sales. So what we try to figure out now is in all the 17 countries where we're active at this moment. So, who is sitting on which chair and who left and who's new and whatever. But what I see as a red wire is that the amount of partners that will be managed in fiscal 18 will be dramatically lower than the ones that were managed in fiscal 17.
Yeah, correct.
And second, what you see is that Dynamics partners traditionally were used to be, when they were managed, to be managed by a Microsoft Dynamics person, somebody that knew CRM and ERP. And I think the partner channel should get used to the fact that they now, if they are a managed partner, they will be managed by a Microsoft person and not a Microsoft Dynamics person anymore.
Exactly.
So there will be somebody who has, Azure on the agenda, or productivity, and maybe also Dynamics, right? So, for Dynamics partners, that is probably a wake-up call where they have to sort of consider, am I still managed? If yes, what's the Dynamics amount of this person? And if no, where to go to find, business support.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's interesting, because I find it interesting that this time that Microsoft's reduced, if you like, the headcount dedicated to Dynamics out in the field to a degree. It's my observation. But at the same time, the momentum or the demand for Dynamics 365 just seems to be on the up and up. There's almost more business coming in than that can be handled. There's a very positive a feeling, if you like, vibrance in the market, and even the market becoming, or the customer base becoming more educated around the potential of dynamics and digital transformation and how that can really move their companies forward. Do you think that there might end up being a gap in resources in Microsoft, or do you think that it's really just an opportunity for partners to stand up, take on a bit more responsibility, and really own that product set and taking it to market?
Well, let me say two things about this, Mark. First is that I like to use the metaphor between Dynamics 365 and Office 365. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure about the age of your audience, but I think there's people in the audience listening now that have used products like WordPerfect or maybe even WordStar in the very past.
Lotus 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
So there was a reason why people did not buy Microsoft Word. I know in Western Europe, WordPerfect had a market share north from 90%, so they were very dominant.
Wow.
For calculations, people used Lotus 1, 2, 3 and Symphony, although Microsoft had Excel, but hardly anybody was interested in Excel. People started buying the stuff when Microsoft stopped position and sell these as separate word processors or separate calculation sheets. Yeah. But when they started to integrate it and didn't call it Word or Excel anymore, but they called it Office. Mm-hmm. Another interesting thing is that, Excel and Word costed $400 per license. And when Microsoft added the two and put PowerPoint on top of that, it was not for the price of 3 times 400 is 1,200, but they said something like 600. Mm-hmm. So what they did, they combined and integrated it, positioned it as a suite, and dropped the prices. Yeah. But if I look at what Microsoft's doing now with Dynamics 365, I see some similarities. Mm-hmm. Prices go down, product get integrated and will be integrated over time, right? Yep. So, and then the question is, do you expect Microsoft to have Excel salespeople? No, but I think they had in the past. Yeah. So moving forward, is it realistic that Microsoft still has salespeople that are specialized in CRM or ERP? Or do we believe that it's better if Microsoft, has people that can position all the stack and might have specializations in IoT or maybe Dynamics 365 or Microsoft 365? So as soon as we aggregate solutions to smart bundles with smart pricing, I would say the products now get more integrated. The next step is that Microsoft should have a field organization that can handle this integrated stuff. And then the third and the last part is that the partner channel should be able to handle this integrated solution. And that's where the M&E or the cooperation comes around the corner. One is this metaphor with Office and Dynamics. I think it's a relevant one. I think it's also a good one that your listeners could use in their discussions with their prospects. Right? If they use Office, you could ask them, why did you switch from Lotus and WordPerfect to Office? And they will tell you it's about the integration. Well, that's the same reason and the same arguments they could use to move away from Sage and Sugar CRM to Dynamics 365.
Yeah, so true.
Right? So the second thing is that the amount of, let's say, partners that gets direct managed by Microsoft will decrease or is decreasing. By the way, outside of Dynamics, there was only like 5% of all the partners worldwide were managed directly with Microsoft, only 5.
Yeah.
And I think in Dynamics it was sort of 30%. So, if we say Dynamics becomes mainstream, it means that Dynamics is not an exotic island anymore, but it's going to be part, finally, after all these years, of the total Microsoft organization. Yeah. It also means they get the same metrics, they get the same structure, they get the same whatever. And what we see is that partners that will not be managed by Microsoft anymore, and also partners that want to be new, as you said, there's a big market demand, and there's a lot of people that see the potential of Dynamics 365. Well, Microsoft moved Dynamics 365 to the CSP arena. CSP stands for Cloud Solution Provider, which is a license model that is basically based on indirect business. So you could say that the move from standalone CRM and standalone ERP to Dynamics 365 is combined with the move from direct Microsoft approach to an indirect with CSPs and disties.
Yeah.
And I think, the partners that want to jump in and the partners that want to expand and whatever will experience that Microsoft more often than in the past will say, find yourself a good distributor or a good CSP company that can help you.
Yeah. So, but you see this, the CSP is selling as in more than just dropping the licenses. They've got to provide that end-to-end solution?
Well, there are already different, let's say, vendors. We ourselves, with QBS Group, we are CSP indirect, which means that partners can buy through us. There's a limited number of CSP indirects. Most of them are the big disties, the Ingram Micros, Tech Data, also these guys, right? They're all huge. But I think the point is they're very good in transactions. They're very good in marketing, but their knowledge of Dynamics is limited.
Exactly.
There's the question, what are partners looking for? Are you looking for the best margin, the lowest prices? Then probably, you should talk with these guys. But are you interested in added value and people that understand you, can help you and bring you to a higher level? Then it's probably good to also have a look at the value added disties.
Yeah. So with all the changes that are going on, what are you seeing partners are asking for from a training perspective more than they have in the past?
So traditionally, Mark, this channel is used to have product trainings. So product is everything, right? If you go to events and you do presentations, all the audiences for products are always fully booked or overbooked. Yep. But I see that more and more partners start to realize that, technique and functionality is important, but at the end of the day, it doesn't make the difference anymore. Yep. So things like positioning, things like smart pricing and packaging, things like good verticalization, good marketing, more and more will make the difference. So what we see is that there's growth on both sides. Of course, partners that want to stay ahead of the curve with the products will send their product people to product training, which is good. We've also seen a lot of demand on the business skill side. So myself, I've delivered these trainings around road to repeatability, which initially was especially for the ERP part, now also available for the CRM partners. Microsoft changed the name later to Cloud SureStep for Dynamics. And we saw a huge demand for that. And I think I've trained together with colleagues more than 150 partners in 35 countries over the last 3 years.
Brilliant.
So there's a lot of things going on that, and I feel that partners understand they have to change. Again, some do it faster, some do it slower, but that's normal, I guess. And that won't change. So we all know that our parents learned a job and they did that job 40 years, and what we learned is effective for 8 years or 4 years, and we have to change all the time. Not that we all like it so much, but it's fact of life, I guess.
Yeah, so true, so true. What you covered there was around that, people are in their jobs for, if you like, shorter periods of times, or they'll do career switches. And I notice a lot of people in the Dynamics channel accidentally fell into the channel, or they fell in love with the product. They got assigned a project for whatever reason and found, wow, this is an incredible tool set that can build many solutions. But then I find that a lot of people are just self-learned. There's no formalization in that process. Are you seeing more partners that are short of, if you like, skilled headcount? And I know you mentioned dinosaurs there as another place to bridge that gap. But what are partners doing to really find the skills without just, if you like, taking them from other partners and having, a bunch of people just, if you like, churn around the industry?
So I think that, many business owners realize that just stealing the best people from your competitors is not the best way going forward. Because at the end, prices go up. It might be nice for this consultant or developer to get more salary all the time. But, we should have a bigger audience rather than circling around and recycling the ones that we already have.
Yeah.
So we started an initiative in QBS to set up a program called Dynamics 365 Accelerate Program. And basically what we do is we offer a program for partners to build a new practice. So we started with the CRM side, and we just finished our first round in Netherlands, and we're going to start next month in, I think, 4 more countries in Europe. And what we do there is it's a combination of learning people, let's say, the skills, teaching the skills. And of course, there is the Dynamics Learning portal where you can find all the stuff. But if you talk to partners, they say it's great, but at the end of the day, you need to have a lot of discipline to keep on doing what you need to do. And then you just talked about the juicy projects. There's something going on. Your boss wants you to do this. Maybe you can postpone it a week or whatever. At the end of the day, there's many, many dropouts. The interesting thing, I saw in an article this morning in a financial newspaper in Netherlands talking about this distance learning. And it talks about the experiences of big universities all over the world. And they, these professors used to have 50 people in a classroom, and now they have 60,000 people on the internet.
Wow.
But the impact is that because there is no working together, we don't see each other, there is no somebody who ticks on your shoulder or whatever, the effectiveness has dropped dramatically, and there's only less than 5% of the people that do it electronically that are successful. So what we decided to do in this program is we said we're going to offer DLP, but we have a very experienced trainer, and there will be a telephone consult for the group of people of 1 hour every week. So they can raise questions and give answers. You can learn from the questions and answers you get from your colleagues or the other partners in the room. And you get warnings like, mind you, next week you need to reserve 12 hours. If you don't do that, right? It's gonna postpone and whatever. You get into the problems. So we started doing that. So that's, functional and technical training, but we combined it with a workshop for strategy. We combined it with help in specialization and find which vertical you should go in. And then at the end, we combined it with a program called Take the Lead, where we can help partners really nurture prospects and create leads, sales qualified leads. And we help them to close deals. So that's a very interesting, I would say, end-to-end program. Microsoft embraced the program, so we're going to work together in the next few months in Western Europe to roll out this program. And that is a way for a ERP partner to say, okay, I can acquire a CRM partner, I can try to cooperate, but the third option then is to build one in a structured way. Same will be relevant for CRM partners that might consider to also start doing the ERP part in order to be able to be a one-stop shop.
No, it's definitely I see myself as a growing demand is that how that educational learning or training is delivered, where everything has gone online. You mentioned the Dynamics Learning Portal, but I just had colleagues, other Dynamics MVPs talking about where's the classroom training. There's still people want an element of talking to a real person and understanding than just, watching videos and having it delivered that way.
Yeah, yeah. But especially with your background from New Zealand, Australia, there's areas in the world where the distances are so huge that the TD cost will drive you to do e-learning anyway, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But we found that this combination of DLP and then somebody you talk to for an hour every week, as if you go to the doctor with your problems, right? That so far seems to be a good one.
Yeah, no, very good, very good. Listen, in your experience in the mix of a dynamics practice, do you often I've seen what were consultants move into, let's say, a leadership position, and I think there's quite a difference between what I'd consider a leader and a manager, and often they've been very good as consultants, but then they move into let's say a managerial position, and they struggle with the people part, the mentoring, coaching, now they've moved away from being a peer to in that leadership role. What's your advice for them so they can be, make that transition, if you like, effectively from being all about the product and implementing or billable time into more of a leadership team lead type position?
Well, I think that, when I was younger, it seems that everybody wanted to become a manager.
Yeah.
It seems to be, there's only one way, which is up. And I'm not sure, like you said, if everybody is in a position to start doing that. I'm not sure if everybody would like to do it. And I think sometimes in some organizations, how shall I say it, a bit Dutch, sometimes even it could be seen as overrated, these positions.
Yep. Yeah.
I know
totally.
a lot of people who are very unhappy moving away to a management role and a leadership role, and then say, I have regrets because I would like to go back, but I don't know how to get back or whatever.
Yeah.
The first thing I would say is, come up with the question for yourself and be honest with yourself on what you want to achieve. If the only thing of a leadership position or management position that is attractive is the money, then I would think twice.
Yeah, exactly.
And, I would say you just use the term MVP, most valuable professional. I would say if you are good in a product and you move into a position potentially to be an MVP, and you start, blogging and video blogs and presenting on events and stuff like that, I would say I would consider that as a leadership position as well.
Exactly. Yeah. Definitely showing, the thought leadership and the technology leadership. And there's a massive demand for more of that, definitely in the community, I feel.
Yeah. And then to be honest, again, Mark, if the average size of a Dynamics partner is 25 people, well, you don't need a lot of managers, right, in a company of that size.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
Not everybody should have the goal, to end up like that.
Yeah. So true.
Not all those positions are available, I guess.
I know, but for some reason, there's this idea that that is the pinnacle to get up to, and it's just, I think it's a lot different than what, if you like, people that aspire to it really understand it is.
Well, when from my personal background, when we merged Partner Masterclass with a company called Concept Sales back in 2012, and we started QBS. So I said, I get a lot of energy from working with partners in training, coaching, and inspiration. Yeah. So that's what makes me happy. So I'm not interested to have a position in the management team. I don't want to be in too many meetings. And that's where I am today.
Yeah, brilliant.
But still,
brilliant.
You want to invite me for this podcast, right? So.
Yeah, I like it that you've cut out that niche that that really fits with what you enjoy doing.
Yep.
I just have a couple of quick fire questions to wrap up here that I'd like to go through with you. So these, you can either one word or you can elaborate on them, but what book do you recommend most to people working with Dynamics, and why?
So there's a book called Consumption Economics. the new rules of tech. It's on my desk here. And that book describes the changes in buying behavior that's going on in the market and the impact that has on IT vendors. And I would say, again, you're not surprised, it's not a product book, right? But it's a book about business changes. And I would say that it would be great if many business owners that have doubts or not sure what to do would read this book, to understand what's going on and get a feel of where we're heading. It's not a Microsoft thing. This new buying behavior is all over the place, and we do it ourselves as well.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. No, it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Vacuum cleaner or your camera, we don't go to any shop. Maybe we don't visit the shop at all, but we start online, right? And that has a big impact.
So true. What's your favorite app and why? What app do you use most on your phone?
I use WhatsApp as my most favorite app.
Do you go to? It's definitely become popular all over the world. What's your daily ritual that set you up on the path for success for the day? What would you try to do each day to set you on the path for a successful day?
Well, I try to create something, and that's not always easy because of full agendas, but I like to write a lot. I write blogs. I started my career as a vlogger, a video blogger last month in Washington. I've been coached by my youngest son. He's 14. And he said, Daddy, if old people like you try to make a selfie, you always make the same mistake. So I said, what's that? And he said, you keep your camera too low. And people see how ugly you are. So you need to put your camera on top, right? From top down. And, I made a series of vlogs on Inspire. If you go to the QBS Group website, you can find them.
Excellent.
And I said, I'm coached by my kids on doing that. And even coached by partners on making improvements, right? So, creating something could be as simple as a checklist, as a small blog, or maybe a vlog. But I like to create something and create something that's not there at the beginning of the day. So that makes my day a great one.
Fantastic. If you could redo anything in your Dynamics career, what would it be?
If I could do something now.
No, if you could redo. In other words, if you could do a redo on part of your Dynamics career, whether it be, get in earlier, whatever it might be, it's hard for you to get in earlier being that you're really there from the start, but is there anything that you would have done differently in hindsight?
I would step in earlier. I think that's the point.
Yeah.
I started in 99, but it would be interesting to already start a few years before.
It's been great talking to you. Just in closing, how can people get in touch with you if they want to find out more about the training you offer for partners? What's the best way for them to connect with you?
So I live on LinkedIn, like I think most of us will do. So that's an easy way to find me there or send me a private message. My email address is gk from Guus Krabbenborg, gk@qbsgroup.com.
This has been a Dynamics 365 podcast, focusing on the ingredients of a successful Dynamics 365 practice. Your host was Business Solution MVP Mark Smith, otherwise known as the NZ365 Guy. Please subscribe and leave suggestions for future topics or guests. More details and resources covered in the podcast are available in the show notes. If you or someone you know would make a great guest for the show, please let me know. Thanks to Kingsway Soft and Alexa CRM for sponsoring the CRM Audio Dynamics 365 Practice Podcast.